Davis last name?
Yep.
Yeah, good. And we are live here in Norman, Oklahoma at the AADE MidCon Symposium. And I think it's Symposium and Conference, too. We got a lot of great speakers here. But I saw about 3 cats walking by me all in OSU colors. And I was like, okay, I got to get those cats on camera to kind of talk to them about their experience here. So you want to introduce yourself to everybody that's watching. There's millions of people that are watching this right now.
So to everyone watching, my name is Tom Davis. I'm currently a senior at Oklahoma State studying mechanical engineering with a minor in petroleum engineering.
I dig that. All right, so real quick, I kind of wanted to first, what's your experience so far coming? Is this your first AADE conference?
This is my first AADE conference. We haven't been to anything with the whole COVID, everything. COVID hit spring of our freshman year.
Oh, really?
And so it hit spring of our freshman year in college, and it's just been trying to get back to normal. And this is the first year, I would say, as a student with conference and everything, we felt back in normal.
Okay. All right. So I guess as a freshman, you didn't really have an opportunity to go to conferences with COVID going on. So what were you expecting before you got here for a conference?
So I figured there'd be a lot of people in booths and people donating stuff, and maybe just walk around and start grabbing some hats and maybe try to learn something in the process.
Wait, have you not been grabbing stuff?
I've been grabbing a little bit of stuff.
Oh my, okay.
We're a little bashful about stuff
this?
around
How
here.
about this? After this, let's do a little walkabout and grab everything.
Everything
How about
we can
that?
find, hook
All right,
us
that's
up.
a true oilfield conference. If you fill a bag up, yes, that's a true oilfield conference. You fill your bag up with mouse pads and whatever. They don't even use go with it anyway. So okay, so you expected a lot of a lot of movement, a lot of activity, a lot of take homes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what's been your experience since you got here?
It's surprisingly really laid back. Normally all of a sudden, teachers at school, you got to ask for permission to do everything. Here it's kind of come up, get and go as you please. Good food, everything really calm. Dress is fairly, there's not everyone's in suit and ties. Making you feel a little bit underaccomplished around here.
Present company excluded, of course. I want to hear it. Okay, so all right, so have people come up to y'all, because I know y'all represent the OSU colors, right?
Yes.
Have people come up to y'all and introduce themselves and be like, hey, kind of trying to talk a conversation with y'all?
Yeah, we've had quite a few people reach out to us. We got some alumni working here, and some alumni even speaking at this event. So it's been super cool.
Who's the alumni?
Chase Holderman.
Oh yeah,
with Ascent Resources. Yeah,
Chase.
Yeah, he's came to
Sharp
talk to us at campus with a few meetings. The guys
Okay.
at Ascent. There was a running joke a while there. They hired an SPE president for like 3 years in a row there. So it was like, if you're an SPE president, you might as well just sign your name.
Got a job.
So a lot of those guys have been really good about giving back to the school and
Okay.
coming and talking with us.
All right, so talk to me. I guess. Look, there's been it's not even a separation right now. So, obviously you're hearing a lot from people who are like David Ramsey Wood about this and that. What is kind of the sentiment kind of around your classmates, not just the one, but like your classmates about, I guess, first off, do you want to pursue a career in the oil and gas energy industry? I'm assuming so if you're at the AADE conference. Okay.
Yes.
What's been kind of the feeling, I guess, or the conversations you're having with some of your classmates about that? Is it good, bad? I don't know that fun.
It's kind of weird because it's not really their fault, but you get a lot of misinformation with kids our age. It's whatever you're seeing that's posted on, YouTube and Google, and a lot of those companies are pushing for green energy and staying away from the oil and gas industry. I'll never forget, I was walking out of, it was differential equations, and some kids look over and they see that we still offer our petroleum classes for our petroleum engineering department, and they go, I just don't know why that doesn't just go to renewable energy or renewable engineering and just get rid of the petroleum department.
Oh, that's all you gotta do is change the name of it, and we're gonna energy's gonna be here. Just change the name of it.
Yeah, so it's a lot of information under generation right now.
There is a lot of poo-pooing on the industry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So does that kind of, it's not changing kind of your, I guess, direction or anything like that, or kind of where you're going?
So I'm weird because I'm fourth generation now in the oil and gas industry.
Man.
So,
all right.
So my great-grandfather was a roughneck. My grandfather was a pumper. Now my dad owns and operates some of the leases that my grandfather pumps. And so I get to go pump and roust about for him. So
Fun.
I always say I was born with a gauge line in my hand. And
You know,
we always say back home, we just love to have fun, fight, and trip pipes. So
oh man, hearing that makes me happy. I love hearing that. Okay. So it's not your first exposure to the industry. You've been doing this since you were a baby before you can learn how to crawl. Pretty much. Okay. So, what I'm trying to say here is, what are your expectations of our industry kind of stepping into it? And also, better question, cross that question out, better question that I just made up. What can kind of, companies, community, what can our industry do to kind of better prepare soon-to-be graduates who are about to enter the industry? What can we do better? Or what can we provide?
I think just something. I don't know the best way to put this. I think everyone agrees. It's hard to get good, truthful information to people. It's hard to find that good, dedicated service showing kids how great the future of oil and gas is in our industry. And even if they go to electric cars or something like that, for example, that energy is still just transferred into the form of batteries and charging. So I would say showing kids that there's no true option to leave it. Try to, I would say, bridge the gap of saying you need to be one or the other, that a group can coexist,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason that just because someone wants to drive a Tesla, that's not a problem. I mean, the performance on those cars are absolutely phenomenal. Electric motors are sweet, but that energy has to come from somewhere. I think bridging that gap of you need an energy source for everything, and that energy can be fossil fuels, and that there's a coexistence.
You know what I feel? I feel like lately, whether it's politics, whether it's energy, it's gotten very kind of like a religion. It's like, oh, you can't believe that. I believe this. But you're right. I mean, that's something that I've been speaking to about. It's like I take the Prius mindset. Energy, we need it all. But let's be honest about it. Let's have real conversations about it. There's a lot of cats that think like in the oil industry is going to be gone in 3 to 5 years. A lot of people believe that, but you go across any energy forecast, oil and gas still makes up probably about 47 to 52% of the pie. So we're going to be around.
Yeah,
and it's a fun industry.
Yeah, and it's stuff like we had when I was working for Williams. One of my past summers, they talked about they wanted to do a pipeline in New York to get New York away from heating oils to natural gas, and they were like, if it's not fully green, we're not doing it. And I feel like there needs to be a better merger because heating oils are they're not good. We need to get to more efficient, better systems. And right now, natural gas is the solution with that. And then even just eventually, there's no reason why everyone's house couldn't have solar on it. But then when the sun doesn't shine, then have natural gas power plant.
Yeah.
If you got the wind for it, have windmills. As long as it's making economic sense, it should be perfectly feasible to have both and coexist, and it's not a problem.
Brother man, you're preaching the truth right now. So these conversations happen outside your circle of friends, or is it kind of being met with like, oh, you're false? How's the reception?
I would say part of the problem is a lot of my friends grew up around oil and gas their entire life, so they think the same way as me. And also on a lot of topics, I feel like if somebody's trying to tell me there's no need for oil and gas in 5 years, when we start off the foot not agreeing there, it's hard for us to even find a mutual bond on anything at that point, because both sides feel that the other side isn't sensible. So
as an industry to provide more digestible information? Because as an industry, you know this. Engineers, okay, we're so engineered heavy. It's always data. It's always numbers. It's always percentage. That does not change. It does not win hearts and minds of people. Stories, feelings. You're seeing those stories happen right now in Germany. You're seeing the stories of the oh shit, it's about to happen in the winter. Those stories about to happen. I mean, as Dave Wood kind of said, maybe that's kind of something that we might need for people to realize, okay, look, let's come to the table and have realistic conversation about energy, not this or that, this whole cake mentality.
Yeah, I know he was talking about that 17-degree temperature difference. I said, could you imagine trying to go to bed on a hot Texas summer night and it's 87 degrees in your air-conditioned house, but the solar panels are fighting that? Like, that would just...
Well, then also, didn't he mention that, like, now, like, in some, like, a country, they can, like, rat on their neighbor for cooling their house too much?
Yeah, he was in Switzerland. If they have it above 62 degrees in the winter, that they're allowed to rat on their neighbors
for 3 years,
for 3 years in prison.
So that's energy crisis right there, and that's serious though.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It's really not fathomable.
It's not, but in fact, it's happening.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling. So listen to all the speakers here. You're here. You're absorbing everything. You're networking and all that stuff. What So I guess the point speed of home, which one was?
Man, I definitely think it was David's speech. You know, like you said, when he talked about we're probably going to have to go to an extreme on one side for people to really start opening their eyes and coming to it. And that's a scary thought because that's a thought that might not hit the United States till after, you know, I might be having kids having to deal with it. And that's the scary thing.
Do you think we're heading down that road?
None of us do. I think as stubborn as, you know, I see a lot of people here are about the oil and gas industry in a good way, in a logical way. I think the other side's just as stubborn. And I think until you get to those problems.
So you have actually first right, how about let's fix this?
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. I love that. So you're coming out. We're talking about the next 5 years of your future. What you imagine, what you would like to happen. How about that?
Man, over the next 5 years, that's a huge question mark right now.
Well, it's the biggest BS question out there. Here's why. Because I remember sitting at Noble Drilling when I was interviewing them. They were asking me in 5 years. I was like, oh, I'll do this, this, and that. My 5-year anniversary, I was in the dairy pulling pipelines. All right, I'm like, I never thought I would be doing this ever. You know what I mean? My 5 years. So obviously, it changes. Everything changes. You don't want to stick to a plan. Where do you see your career? Where would you like to go? How about that?
I mean, ideally, I want to be my own business.
Okay.
I always loved the thought of owning my own business and doing something on my own.
Okay.
You know, I've seen that with my father being able to make a successful living, being his own provider, take off whenever he wants, be there for his family, and so I'd love to be able to do that. Is my end goal. What business, what path? I have no idea.
You go on operator side, you go on service side, you go on tech side.
You know, we'll see where the jobs are for sure.
Yeah, at first I'm
as far as, you know, if somebody's offering me something, it might, you know, not be my first choice ideal, but if it's a job, it's a job.
Yeah.
I think if we can see in this industry, you know, you definitely take the opportunities you can get. I think one thing we've always never be mad about an opportunity and always try to live it to the fullest. You know, I remember had a talk one time from Devin's COO, and he said, no matter where you move, no matter what you do, make sure that you make that home. He said, whether you want to go live in Midland, Texas or not, whether you think it's only for the next 5 years, he said, make that your newest home and live there like you're going to be there for the rest of your life. And that was huge advice. So I try to stay as far as open mindset, as far as if I get hired on for a company and they say I'm going to the Bach, I'm ready to make the Bach in my home, plant my roots, and do whatever I want to do there.
That's a great outlook to have.
Yeah, it was phenomenal hearing you talk about it.
I dig that. All right, so it's your last year in school, football. What is your last? So you have one more year.
Yep, May of 23, and I'm gone.
May of 23. So what's your plan until May 23? You'd be interviewing. You'd be more active on LinkedIn. You'd be going to these conferences. What do you have to do before you graduate?
So before we graduate, I'll put in a plug. Our student chapter of AADE is hosting a golf tournament this next Monday in Perkins, Oklahoma. So we're doing it the day before the career fair.
Okay.
So our hope is that a lot of companies will be flying in for the career fair. Go ahead and play golf on Monday with us. Great way for them to meet students, get our names out there. And then we got our career fair coming up Tuesday.
So are you active in the AADE?
Yes. So I've been the president of AADE since I've been a sophomore in college.
Really?
Yeah. So we ran into, once COVID hit, we didn't really know a lot of people. And I had been involved with SPE and AADE heavily since my freshman year. So then I got nominated president. And so I've been running it ever since my first meeting I remember with Jerry. It was over COVID. It was Zoom. And it was like it was my first really like organization through that. We did a whole year of online meetings. Finally, last year we were allowed to in-person stuff. This year we were able to host golf tournaments and skeet shoots and stuff. And it's finally back to where we can finally start getting students involved and get some good stuff going.
How are you seeing the student involvement? Finally, we're able to gather.
It's tough because a lot of the student involvement right now, if you look at what the students have seen, all they've seen is oil being negative, the buzz, and so you haven't quite got those kids that have really in the last 4 or 5 years flourished in the oil industry, been there for the good times to show students why you want to stick through it.
Thomas, I really do appreciate your time, man. I want to have an off-camera conversation about continuing this, actually.
Okay.
But I appreciate your time. I don't want to take you away too much from that, but what else? What else you want to plug? So there's an OSU AADE golf tournament on Monday. Just do the math.
19th.
19th at 19th. Where?
At Cimarron Trails in Perkins.
Cimarron Trails in Perkins. All right. What else?
Look for Oklahoma State students will be attending ATCE this year.
Okay.
In Houston for SPE, so we'll be down there for that. And then just
when is it?
October 3rd through the 5th.
We'll be there.
We'll do.
I'll be in Houston. Let me know.
We'll be around.
What else?
You got some students going down for that. And just feel free to reach out to us if you want to, get some true good hometown engineers. We got them in Stillwater.
What is your main reason to do the
I've been born into it. It's something in your blood, man. I don't know what it is. There's just something about it that just I'd have to say the people more than anything, man. There's something about there's like some classes that I go to and I don't feel like I fit in, like I feel like I'm an outcast. But the oil industry, I've never felt that way.
It's funny. I remember when I first off joined the industry to get a job. Okay, number one. But then you're in it, you're like, you got this whole provide energy to. I'm in it for the people. This is I'm not just saying this because we're on camera. This is the best group of people. I mean, whether you're an engineer, whether you're a tech, tech guru, or whether you're a marketer, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a doctor, sales guy, it doesn't matter what you are. The people here is what makes the industry so special. That's kind of what I do. That's kind of why Connection Crew started. So anyway, man, Tom, I appreciate your time. And for those that are out there, you're on LinkedIn, right? I'm on LinkedIn. I probably should update it now. Well, I need to update mine. Look at this. I need to update mine. All right, my hair's still down to this in my profile.
I still got senior high school class photo for my profile.
You repping the varsity jacket like that?
No, we just got the classic with the head tilt.
All right, those out there, please hook up with let me see your name tag if you don't mind.
Take it.
Hook up with old Thomas right there. If you can, where's the autofocus? There we go. Make sure you check them out. Obviously, as an industry, our job is also to welcome and provide some sort of mentorship, advice, or kind of shoot the bull with upcoming the upcoming generation, if you will. But connect with them and just reach out and say hello. So, I appreciate it, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to you a little bit. All right, thanks everyone.